Hello everybody, welcome back to this series on 100% full marks exam answers. It's a spoiler-free look at answers to the 2017 GCSEs, and these answers got full marks, 100% full marks, grade 9 responses. I'm not going to give you the question because I don't want to mess up your mock exams. I know some of you said, well, hang on, Mr. Bruff, Year 11 have done their mocks now, but you have to bear in mind that these videos are not just watched by Year 11, and also they'll be up for years. So, the people could be watching these videos at any point of the year. It's not just about Year 11. But what I want to look at today is another answer from Joshua. I think we looked at Joshua in last week's series. He got a grade 9. It's his answer on an inspector calls. He got 30 out of 30 and 4 out of 4 for spelling, punctuation and grammar. And there are two things that I want to focus on. I think these are really, really useful. So if you're a teacher, well worth playing these in class. The first thing I want to look at is the analysis of context. As you know, there are 6 marks for context, and the exam board have often said that you have to be careful you don't write too much about context. It's only 6 marks. You just drip feed in the occasional relevant contextual factor to your answer. And this is an answer that's done really well in. The other thing is that the answer gets level 5 for some parts of the answer, level 6 for other parts, and yet still gets a full 30 out of 30 mark. And that's something that's really encouraging if you're on the AQA exam board. It's an exam board that really credits the good things you do and basically rewards you for the good and doesn't take marks off you for the bad. That's always been the sort of approach from AQA, which is one of the many reasons it's the best exam board out there, in my opinion. So I want to show you 2 little parts of the answer. The first one is this, and it says, during this celebration of Sheila and Gerald's engagement, Mr. Berlin gives a speech on how the Titanic is unsinkable and that the Germans don't want war. And this is dramatic irony purposely done by Priestley to paint the Edwardian upper class society as highly ignorant. That this is as the Titanic did sink on her maiden voyage, and war broke out with Germany 2 years after the play was set. So just pause there, and that is, you can't actually see the AO2, but that's an AO2 level 5 comment. Obviously that's the quotation from the Mr. Bruff revision song for an inspector calls, so it's nice to see that. And it's, pointing out the dramatic irony, a very obvious point, one that we all know, I think, because it's so clearly a deliberate effort from the playwright. And then here's the bringing in of the context in a way that I think is a little bit more sophisticated than the obvious. So it says, the fact that the play was set in 1912 but written in 1945 is significant, as it allows the audience to acknowledge the mistakes made in the past and learn from them. The play would have resonated with the World War II, post-World War II audience, as they had just been through 2 wars and there was a clear need for change. So I just think that last bit is very, very good. Okay, this idea that, hang on a minute, you're watching this, the original audience is watching this at a time when they really know that something needs to change because they've been through 2 world wars. And that's level 5 AO2 and AO3 analysis in this exam answer. And then a little bit further on, some level 6 AO2 and AO3 analysis. So we have, early in the play, Sheila is described in the stage directions as pretty and pleased with life. The adjectives pretty and pleased connote beauty and innocence. This suggests that Sheila had no clue of the atrocities which were occurring in society at the time. Alternatively, it could be said that Sheila was shielded from the realities of life to protect her innocence. And this links to when Mr. Berlin tells Sheila to go to her room, almost as if she was a young child. And this is done by Priestley to highlight the poor manner by which women were treated during the Edwardian era, seen as weak and inferior to men. Now, these are the same kind of analysis points that we just looked at, but this AO2 analysis, language analysis of the adjectives here and the stage directions, the form analysis of the stage directions, is seen as a level 6 analysis. and the bringing in of context is seen as level 6. And as I said, overall, this got a level 6 mark, 30 out of 30. This isn't the complete answer. But how is this little bit that you see on screen better than the bit we just looked at? Well, it's going beyond the obvious, isn't it? So the previous screen was the pretty obvious stuff about, dramatic irony. He says this, but we know he's wrong. And that's the kind of thing that everybody is very aware of. But here we have the stage directions as pretty and pleased with life, going beyond the literal, that she's just a pretty, and happy woman, and actually suggesting that she is innocent and has no clue of the atrocities which were occurring. And that's the more sophisticated interpretation, along with an alternative interpretation, being aware that there isn't one simple answer for everything, but you can look at things in lots of different ways. And then linking that to this idea of being treated as a child and the poor treatment of women in society, women seen as inferior and weak. So that's a much more sophisticated analysis than the first page. This screen here, the first example we looked at, is good, but it's the sort of thing that we learn almost right away about an inspector calls. Pretty simple, obvious. This next screen was something that little bit more sophisticated and original. The students come up with some ideas of their own, and altogether brilliant to see this student achieve a grade 9 for the whole GCSE, and in this question 34 out of 34. So if you found this video useful, please do give it a thumbs up, and thanks for watching. Do subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you again with another video in this series next week.